What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today we are finally going to count down my top 30 hip-hop and R&B albums of 2018. This has been a hell of a year, and just like I always say, it was very hard to narrow my list down, but I had to get this shit out, because the longer I sat with it, the more I started rearranging things like a game of Tetris. So this is what I came up with. This is just based off of my opinion, not critical acclaim, what other people think, mainstream appraisal, sales, none of that shit, just what I think. And we're going to jump right into it, starting with number 30, Apollo Brown and Locksmith with No Question. This was just a very short EP. Locksmith came through with some great bars and technical skill as he always does, and Apollo Brown really came through with great production. Just the usual soul samples that you would expect from him, so this was a great way to start off my list. And by the way, I am just going to go very quickly through these because I don't want to sit here for like an hour breaking down all these projects when I already reviewed all these projects. So if you want to see my full opinion, just check the information box where I have this full list as well as the links to those reviews. So for number 29, we have Alchemists Bred EP, and this is another project that was very short and to the point. I really like the people he had featured on here. We had Black Thought, Conway, West Side Gun, Earl Sweatshirt, and some other people really coming through with great bars, and Alchemist had a hell of a year. He was involved in a lot of great projects, and this little EP was dope because he still was showing off some of those production skills, and he gave you the 4 instrumentals as well. So you got 4 tracks, 4 instrumentals, nice little project. And for 28, I am doing a little bit of cheating here because I am throwing together 3 EPs. I'm talking about Big Crit's Thrice X, Double Down, and Trifecta. I loved all 3 of these. I did review them all, so you can check those full-length reviews if you want. But simply put, Crit is staying consistent. He gave us exactly what we want as Big Crit fans, so I can't complain too much here, man. Just a bunch of wavy tracks you can work with in the car, great production, and good flows from Crit as usual. And as for number 27, we have Bun B's Return to the Trill. I really didn't see many people talking about this one, but I think it was great, man. Bun B is an OG who has been very consistent through his whole career, whether you want to talk about his work with UGK or his solo work, and this really had that same old Texas sound that you would expect. You're getting some nice trunk slappers, some smooth joints, and even some bluesy / jazz elements, so I like what he had on here. In regards to the content as well, I got to throw that out there. There was some good storytelling. For number 26, we got Freddy Gibbs' project Freddy, and this was just a very simple mixtape that gave us a collection of bangers. Nothing too deep and heavy, but Freddy Gibbs is another artist who's very consistent, so I like what he did here, and it really has me excited to hear another full length from him. Hopefully we're going to get that in 2019. For the 25th spot, we have Reason's album, There You Have It, and as the newest TDE signee, I think there was all kinds of people just wanting to see what he could do, man. There's lots of pressure being signed to TDE, and I think he came through pretty well in my opinion. I really like the storytelling and lyricism that he showed on here, just a good old-fashioned spitter, and there was some nice production as well, a lot of good samples, funky stuff, smooth stuff. I really like what he had happening here, so that was a dope album. For number 24, we have Vince Staples' album FM, and this is another short project. That seems to be the theme of some of these albums that I'm kicking off with, but that was something we saw a lot this year. Either people dropping these bloated long-ass projects to get streams, or shorter projects that are just snug, man, not wasting a lot of space and really giving you what you want. So that's exactly what this one came through with, getting a lot of bangers as well as some good content that managed to blend fun and danger, so this was a really dope project. At number 23, we have one of the few R&B joints on my list, and that is Jorja Smith's Lost and Found. I think she has a great voice, but what really blew me away here was the songwriting. I think she did a good job of speaking on different relationships, telling some stories from her life and things that she's experienced. That was what I really took from this, but the production was pretty cool too, so as far as R&B goes, that was one of my favorite joints. Now, the number 22 spot actually belongs to Black Thought's Stream of Thoughts Volume 2, and the next spot, the 21st spot, is going to Volume 1. These are just 2 short little projects where Black Thought shows that he's still a top-tier spitter, man. Great production as well, and I'm really hoping that in 2019 we get a full-length, fleshed-out project from Black Thought, because I know he has it in him. Now, we're already down to the number 20 spot. As I said, we're moving through very quickly because I already reviewed all these. And the number 20 spot is Ghostface Killah with The Lost Tapes. It is so hard to believe that Ghostface is still going hard after all these years. I mean, this is a guy who's been putting it down since the early 90s, but he's still out here delivering great projects. Love the production throughout this. Some of the best sample-based shit I heard all year. Very hard-hitting and street. And he has a bunch of hard-hitting street features as well, so this shit was more or less a compilation, and I liked the way it came together, so I had to show it love. At the number 19 spot, we have a project that I don't think got enough love, and that's Nick Krantz' Dreamin' Out Loud mixtape. This one has him really showing his versatility. He came through with some more mainstream bangers. You got catchy hooks on here, smooth joints, and as usual, Nick Grant comes through with some nice concepts and content as well. He's really doing a lot of things here, so as a mixtape, I think this was really dope, man. I'm hoping that with his next project, he can even expand on this sound and these different styles and give us something even better, so we'll see. For number 18, we have Black Milk's album Fever, and I just love the instrumentals on this thing, man. I love the soul and neo-soul influence, as well as the live instrumentation that he had happening throughout. Throw in the fact that he's a pretty good rapper, and he does get into some interesting content here, and you have a project that, again, a lot of people haven't been talking about. So Black Milk Fever, well deserving of that number 18 spot. Now, number 17 goes to Evidence with Whether or Not. This was actually one of the first traditional boom bap projects to drop this year, and it really set the tone in my opinion. I love this right from jump. We got a lot of great boom bap this year, and on this one, Evidence had a nice beat selection, and he was telling a lot of stories about himself and some of the things that he had been through. Really great project all around. I like it. Don't sleep on it. Now, at number 16, we have Buddy's album Harlan and Alondra. This one is a bit more on the mainstream side of things, especially when you're looking at my list, but I just like it because it's so fun, funky, light, and catchy. This was one of the go-to albums for me when I just wanted something light, something to sing along with and enjoy, so I really like what Buddy was doing on here. But that's not to take away from his bars. I actually think he's a pretty good rapper too, when he has some decent bars and some concepts on here, so he's really doing a bit of everything, and I hope you guys didn't sleep on it. Now, the number 15 spot, we're already down to 15, goes to Freddy Gibbs and Currency with their project Fetty. You got great Alchemist production tying this together, and I love the chemistry these two show. You got Currency with his more laid-back style, and Freddy Gibbs whipping some more rapid flows and that gangsta shit that you expect to get from Freddy. Really dope project all around. Enjoyed Fetty. For number 14, we got Payroll Giovanni and Cardo with Big Bossin' Volume 2. This one just had some of the best G-Funk production I heard all year. I'm a sucker for that sound, so I loved what Cardo was doing here with the production. And I also thought that Payroll Giovanni came through with some great street narrative. He had lots of storytelling on here. He was spitting a lot of game as well. So you come out of this with some great production and some great bars. Really good project right there. For number 13, we got Fonte's No News is Good News album, and this is basically a midlife crisis in album form. I know that might sound like an insult. Obviously, I don't mean it like that because this is a dope album. I just mean the content is some grown-ass man type of stuff, man. He's getting into physical health, mental health, losing loved ones. He speaks on fatherhood, relationships, just a lot of things that everybody goes through, but especially as you get older, you got to think about these things in different ways. So I love this grown-ass man hip-hop we got this year, and this was one of the standouts. For number 12, we have Maxwell Cream with Punkin', and this might have been one of the biggest surprises of the year to me. I had heard of Maxwell Cream in the past, but I didn't know too much about him, but on this one, he's one of these guys who's coming through with versatility. He has this ability to work with new school sounds and give you those bangers and catchy moments, and yet he also has the ability to get into some great storytelling, lyricism, concepts. I was actually really impressed with this one, man. I loved a lot of the production choices here, especially the more traditional stuff he was working with, so this is a project that dropped earlier this year, and it really stuck around, I should say, to make it till now. So I'm glad I could put this one on my list, because at the start of the year I thought I would. Now, just outside the top 10 at number 11 is Blood Orange's album Negro Swan. This one was one of the more experimental projects to make my list, has a very different sound production-wise, as it's very breezy and atmospheric, and then you got to think about his voice. He has this very different singing style as well, so I like the overall sound here. When I didn't want to listen to rap and I wanted something a little bit different, this is one of the projects I came to, and I like how he was also dealing with identity and some very serious issues here, so this was something that stood out to me, and I really did love it. And now we're into the top 10, starting with Royce da 5'9's album Book of Ryan. Royce da 5'9 has been a top-tier spitter pretty much since he came out, but I feel like what the conversation always used to be about him was when is he going to hit us with that really deep personal content for like a full album? Like when is he going to drop his magnum opus and hit us? And with this project, I really believe he did that. The storytelling on this is incredible. I came out of this feeling like I knew Royce and really knew where he came from and what he's been through. So I feel closer to him as an artist, man. I thought this was a really dope project. He also had some singing on here that at first took a while to grow on me, but then it really tied things together really well. Like on that song Cocaine, that's a fantastic track, probably one of my favorite tracks of the year. So this body of work is just incredibly personal and honest, and I commend Royce for giving us this. Now, fitting into the number 9 spot is Jericho Jackson's self-titled album. Jericho Jackson is made up of another top-tier spitter, this time it's Elzhi, and of course the legendary producer Crisis. Love the sample-based production on here, and Elzhi really does get introspective and insightful on pretty much every track here. This is another one that dropped at the start of the year, so it really lasted to make it this long. I love Jericho Jackson, dope project, and this is just another instance of traditional hip-hop really shining in 2018, at least to me, because you guys know I'm an old head, so I had to show love to that sound. So moving in at number 8, we have Mick Jenkins with Pieces of a Man, and I really feel like ever since Mick Jenkins dropped the waters, a lot of people have moved away from him as far as his fan base goes. Myself, I've liked pretty much everything he's done, and I think this might be his best work. Just the way he breaks himself down into pieces of a man and then puts himself back together, lots of introspective, insightful, and personal content. I think he really did well on this, and as a lyricist, I think he's being criminally underrated. There are so many quotables on here, there's so much that I took from this album and I still come back to it. I love the production as well, you get a great Ghostface feature, lots of things I love about this one. So check out the full review that I did with Granddad Wooly because we were excited to talk about it and it's worth your time. For number 7, we have Apathy with The Widow's Son, and if you're not familiar with Apathy, he's another MC who has been around for a very long time, man. He's put out a lot of projects. I loved his project Eastern Philosophy, but I think this is his best piece of work by far. The production choices are just immaculate, lots of hard-hitting sample-based boom-bap shit, and you're also getting a very mystical and mythical aesthetic. Say that 5 times fast. I just barely got it off, man. I love what he did here. You're getting some Freemason bars on this, but really it's the perfect blend of violence, humor, and pop culture references that made this one pop for me. So really like this project. Check it out. At number 6, we have Masta Ace and Marco Polo with A Brooklyn Story, and it is incredible to me that Masta Ace, at over 50 years old, is still making such high-quality music. Marco Polo has also always been great with the beats, and here he's hitting you with more of the same, a lot of smooth and gentle sample-based shit, as well as some hard-hitting gritty stuff. He really does it all, and you are getting a lot of stories here that have to do with Brooklyn. Go figure, that's what it's called. They talk about how Masta Ace and Marco Polo came to be friends and work together and craft the music they make. Just a really high-quality project, and as far as rapper-producer teams go, these two have got to be mentioned as one of the greatest, man, because they've been working together for a while, and this project is really dope. And now, just like that, look at that, we're in the number 5, starting off with Benny the Butcher's Tana Talk 3. As far as street rap goes, I don't think anyone did it better than Benny this year. I know sometimes it can get boring to hear typical street shit, drug shit, and gun shit, but Benny is so vivid and authentic with it that you really believe everything that he's saying. He has the clever lyricism, storytelling, and concepts to keep you interested. I really don't have many complaints with this project at all. I liked pretty much every track on it, so obviously that's why it made my top 5. If you're looking for some great street shit that's not mundane and boring and actually is going to hit you with good bars, then this is a project you want to check. Now for number 4, we have Denzel Curry with Taboo. I really like the way he rolled this out with 3 projects. Each one had a little bit of a different sound and feel to it. But what I liked about this one is how it really blended some new school shit with old school shit. What I mean by that is that some of the sounds have a more current feel to it, and yet he's giving us old heads lots of bars and content, really digging deep into mental health issues, as well as what it's like to struggle with fame. Lots of aggressive, impressive deliveries and vocal choices on here. Really just a great project all around. I loved Taboo, and Denzel Curry, he's another guy who's newer and very consistent, so as far as newer artists go, he would have to be one of my favorites. So just a very versatile and volatile performance from him. I fuck with this album. And now we're into the top 3, starting with Lupe Fiasco's album Drogas Wave. I know some people were split on this because Lupe Fiasco's style can be a little bit abstract and all over the place, but I really fucked with what he was doing here, man. He was tying in the themes of slavery and water, giving us a lot of great storytelling and concept-driven tracks, and not only that, but sonically, I thought this was some of his most enjoyable work. A lot of very smooth beats that fit that watery feel, catchy sing-songy hooks. This was a great album for someone who really wanted to pick at the bars and also just enjoy it for what it is, man. Just some smooth shit to vibe with. So I appreciate Lupe for hitting us up with this one, and as usual, his lyricism is as good as it always is. I'm listening to this album still and picking up on new shit. At number 2, we have Savvas' album Care For Me, and it was so close to being my number 1, man. I went back and forth, just like I always do with my lists. I could mix some of these around on any given day depending on how I feel, but this was just very dark, personal, and heartfelt. And yet at the same time, you could tell that Savvas was working through all his issues on this project. You're getting that little glimmer of hope and inspiration as you listen through. Savvas himself, I like the way that he flows, gets a little bit off kilter, but he keeps it tight, brings some singing in as well. This was just a really, really dope, heartfelt project from Savvas, and I was impressed just to hear the growth in him as an artist. I've liked his other work as well, but with this one, he really took it to the next level, so he's well deserving of this spot. And my number 1 spot goes to an album that I think not enough people have been talking about, but I've come back to this so much, man. I've loved this album. I really think it deserves the number 1 spot, and that is the Avondale Bowling Club's self-titled album. I really didn't know anything about Avondale Bowling Club going into this one, but I love the lively, organic jazz production. It is absolutely beautiful and groovy. And then Tom Scott is one of the best lyricists I've heard this year by far, man. He absolutely snaps on this. The way he twists his voice around and works his flows is just very impressive and engaging. And then the content there is deep as well. He's touching on a lot of very personal stuff. He's telling you his story, speaking on who he is, where he came from, how he came to be. This is just a damn impressive album. Don't sleep on this. I know a lot of you are, and a lot of you are like, what the fuck is this album at number 1? But god damn it, it deserves it. I promise you, this is based on my opinion, of course. You might disagree, but I love this album. I've come back to it a lot. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it feels. Very organic, lively, jazzy, full of personal content. I'm saying the same shit over and over, but that's because I love it. I'm just trying to drill the shit home. So there you have it, man. That is my top 30. If you're interested in any of these projects, I highly recommend that you check them out for yourself. You can also check out my reviews in the information box below this video if you want to see what I thought and just get more of an idea. Because I did kind of rush through these, you know what I mean? Just giving you the bare basics, just giving you the goods on what these projects are and what they sound like so you can see if you're interested. But hey, the full reviews will explain it more. So there you have it, another year wrapped up. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, guys. We're continuing to grow. We hit 20K. I started a podcast. Things are really moving up, and you guys have just been there for me, man. Some of you guys have been down for years. It's actually pretty crazy to see that you've grown with me, not just as this channel has grown, but as I've grown, as I've gotten married, had 3 kids now, doing my thing, getting older and older. So I just think that's dope. And you guys are a bright spot, man. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that like my life is fucked up. It definitely isn't. I'm a very happy guy. But you guys are another bright spot, just to know I can make these videos and then converse with you guys and talk to you about this music, because you know what, I love music, always has been a big part of my life, so I appreciate you guys very much. And here's another good year, man. I hope you guys have enjoyed this year and you have music that you like. Of course, you can hit me up with your list in the comments section, whether it's a top 5, 10, 20, 30, whatever it is. Maybe not get carried away to 100, because then YouTube might automatically mark it as spam or some shit, I don't know. But god damn it, let me know what you think. Thank you again for the support. Make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff you always do. Show me love and show me lots of it. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.